Hi, and welcome to the Ultimate Perimenopause podcast. And today I have the honor of introducing a good friend of mine, Sally Estlin. Hi, Sally.
Hey, Maggie. How you doing, darling? Thanks for having me on. I'm very excited.
I'm so excited you're here. You're here all the way from Melbourne, so that's amazing. And we just had a really big dump of snow. And then you sent me a picture of you on the beach today.
We've had a heat wave, and I love the heat, but when I saw your snow, I'm just grateful for the heat. Way too long.
I'm just a little jealous, just a little.
Challenging for you to exercise. I mean, the other day you put on your snowsuit and you gave it your best shot and got your heart rate up, but goodness me, that's really pushing it.
Yeah, and we'll get into that for sure. Now, you are a holistically fit specialist. Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit about yourself, what that means, and how you got into fitness in the first place.
Yeah, okay, so probably about going back in my career, I started out in banking and marketing and broking and all that sort of stuff. And whilst I was working there, I had a bit of a medical scare, a bit of a cancer scare, and I started dabbling into natural therapies. So I continued chugging along, doing the banking and, doing the partying scene and all that sort of stuff. But at the same time, I started to see a naturopath as I was going along, and I found that my life started to improve. Just little things like hay fever would go, allergies, and then just immune system would get better. And, chipping away at the sides, cynical me, just doing my work and thinking, oh, well, these drops are working, I'll keep at it. So anyway, I continued on in banking and then got to the point, I thought, I was getting more and more into the natural therapies, and I thought, that it's really drawing me in. So I stopped banking and I started studying in natural therapies, and it was fabulous. Loved it. Anyway, everything went on hold. Had kids, and had 4 of them, and it was quite challenging, and life was put on hold for a while. And then when I came up and head out of water, I started getting into fitness as my stress relief. So I would time out, 20 minutes, have a break and just quickly get out. And then I found I was getting more bang for my buck, if you like, going for a bit of a run walk as opposed to a walk. And I got more and more into it, and I found I was feeling so much better in the head. Anyway, so about probably 4 years ago, I thought, longer than that. So I've been doing the fitness thing for about 10 years. And then kids were all starting at school, and I thought, what can I do with my career that is really igniting me inside? I was ready to get my teeth into something. So I did a little bit of counselling course about my career and aligning my passion with my career. And it came up that I should be doing something in the fitness area. So I created a business called Holistically Fit based on 3 pillars, which is strengthen, shape and reconnect. Because I found that fitness wasn't just about getting out there, losing weight and toning up. It was about connecting with the whole person, because everything was connected. So hence the name Holistically Fit. So, your mood, your gut health, everything was connecting all in with everything that you were doing. So, your mojo and everything, you're getting it from your exercise, but diet was important and the way you were thinking was important. So yeah, that's how I've come to where I'm at today, running a business called Holistically Fit and working with people on the 3 levels: strengthen, shape and reconnect.
Wonderful. And for those of you that are actually watching the YouTube video right now, you can see Sally. You would be shocked by how young she is. Now, I know I talk about this a lot, but it fascinates me, just the way people, you can tell when somebody looks after themselves.
Yeah, you definitely can. Yeah. I mean,
tell us how young you are.
Well, I'm 50 next month. Bring it on.
And you look amazing.
No, but I didn't get into all of this until my 40s.
It's never too late.
Age is just a number. Absolutely. I didn't stop popping my kids out till nearly 40. And then by the time they started school, it was early 40s. And, I just was like, and at that stage, I was overweight, I was frumpy, I was unhappy, I was stuck. I was just doing the kids stuff. There was no joy in it for me. It was just like going through the motions, and, I was living off pastas and lots of carbs, and, wasn't sleeping well, probably drinking too much, partying too much with the other mums, the 4 o'clock arsenic hour. Oh, quick, let's get it. And I just stopped one day and looked in the mirror and thought, what the hell are you doing? What do you want? Because I was feeling crap. When you're eating crap, you feel crap. And when you're not eating, you're just sort of sludgy. It's like all the bottom of the crap in the tank in your car. If you haven't filled up the petrol, it's just there and it's mushy and it's grimy and it's gross.
Yeah.
And I'm sick of feeling gross. It's time to get my mojo back. So I stopped and looked in the mirror and thought, okay, Sal, let's start it. Let's start the process. And, everything's a work in progress, but there's no such word as can't. And if you want to turn your life around, you totally can, and at any age. And I can tell you, I have a lot of clients, or not a lot, but a few in their 70s, and I'm finding more and more people in their older ages really getting into exercise. And it's really important. It's not so much for now, it's also preventing illness down the track. Protecting your joints, getting yourself moving. Because if you don't move it, you lose it, baby, And, you know what it's like being ill. You had a few weeks out and you really feel the impact. Your body stiffens up and you just feel yuck and you're tight and, you need to get those muscles moving and getting everything flowing. And don't you feel so much better when everything's connected? Drinking lots of water and flushing stuff out. There's nothing worse than being incapacitated and not moving and feeling stiff and tight and the posture goes yuck and it's roll it out. And it's, everyone can do something as simple as breathing and stretching. That's my number one thing for everyone, because everyone can do it. Breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth, de-stress, and then stretch the muscle. Oh my God.
And for everybody who's on the podcast, Sally is doing her exercises while she talks.
The stretch and the best thing to do when you wake up in the morning, whilst you're in the bed and the muscles are really toasty warm, is have a big stretch, hands over the head.
Oh, that's a great tip.
It's really, really good. You're opening everything up, opening up the heart chakra by rolling the shoulders back. Bring your knees into the chest and roll around and get that spine moving, and then roll back away. Oh, it feels so good. And then roll your knees gently from side to side and loosening up the lower back. Oh, I do it every day before I get out of bed. I think, let's get this going, get the blood flowing before everything starts. And then you can do your meditation or connecting in, set your intentions for the day. Awesome way to get going. Awesome.
Very cool. Very cool. So what tips would you have for clients that are in their 40s? Would you say that the working outs differ from somebody who's in their 20s? And then again, you were mentioning somebody in their 70s.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, as everything catches up with us, the body will not let you get away with too much. So by your 40s, you really have to protect your joints, your shoulders, your knees, ankles, because, you just don't want to risk, I don't know, a hip replacement or knee reco or whatever. They only last 10 years, and come on, baby, we've got a lot left in the tank than that. So everything in your 40s, be aware of everything you do. It's important to do some strength training, bone density, building up the muscles, all that sort of stuff. So, be aware of what you're doing. Connect with the muscle. So if you're doing a bicep, extend it down, all the way down and all the way up, and connect with your breath and with your muscles so that you're aware of what muscle you're working on and what you're doing. So let's not pump out 50 quick ones. Let's do 10 slow, controlled, monitor them, and notice what we're doing and what we're working on. You're going to get a much better payback for your buck for doing that than doing 50 quick ones. We're not going to be 20 anymore, and we can't hammer our bodies and go really hard impact with lots of weights and lots of reps, because you're going to end up hurting your shoulder, hurting your lower back, or something like that. So it's really important to listen to your body and work within its limits. So, we might be working out together and I might be able to do something a bit more than you, but you'll be able to say, hey, that doesn't feel right. I'm not going there. I'm only going to go this far. Might even be touching your toes, just doing it slowly, gently. And then over time, you can go a little bit further. And it's the same with your weights. Just go within the weights that work for you, or whatever you're doing, cardio or whatever. Just listen to your body, because it's your body. A teacher can tell you what to do, but you actually have to be smart enough to say, ooh, that's starting to niggle. That doesn't feel right for me. So
listening, it's a big thing.
Big thing. Yeah. And, you know, balance. I'm a huge person for balance. So 80-20 rule, you know, but everything within moderation. So, you know, yes, cardio is important and strength training is important, flexibility is important, but balance it all. You know, there's no point going hard and fast and just about killing yourself, literally having a heart attack. You know, just work within your limits and with some balance, I think, and breathe through everything and stretch and breathe first and then work up from there.
Yeah, it's good that you brought that up, because balance is something particularly women in perimenopause don't have a lot of. They have had probably 10, if not 15 years of being out of balance.
Yep.
And then, you know, it sort of brings us through to sort of stress, children, trauma, which could be emotional trauma, physical trauma, illnesses. So she might not recognize herself physically. And I know that's what happened with me, you know, sort of 10 years down the track from having my first child. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I'd changed so much physically.
Yep.
So how can you help women get their bodies back to really appreciate being physical again and sort of empowering them to, you know, love what they see?
Yep. Well, first of all, just be gentle on yourself. You know, I find particularly with men, they think, oh, they come back into exercise and they'll go straight back to where they were in their 20s when they were, you know, captain of the footy team or whatever, and they're gung-ho and they're straight into it. Well, all our bodies have changed. And as you said, it's been through a lot of stress. We've been through the ringer. We're just coming back up for air. Mm-hmm. So first of all, gentle, everything with small steps, and be realistic with your expectations. So we're never going to get the body back that we had of our 20s. And bottom line, do we really want that? I find with my maybe. Look, I'm in bikinis and I never wore bikinis until my 40s. Like, holy shit.
Wow.
So, yeah, and, you know, love your curves, but so what was it, getting back into it after you've been out of it? Mm-hmm. Very, very slow. So, you know, set yourself some small achievable goals. I like something 6 weeks and then 3 months. And it might be just to start a regular routine structure with exercise. It might be just as simple as setting a week out in advance and saying, right, today I'm going to do a 45-minute walk. I'm going to do that Monday, Wednesday and Friday. And you might have a membership to the gym and it's just been sitting there gathering dust. I don't know. They're so cheap these days. They're about $15. And the group classes are quite empowering. I'm finding a lot of really, in particular, like the core classes, the abs and core Pilates sort of stuff, and really start slow. You know, you don't need to go in and do the high intensity straight up. I mean, you can if you need it for your brain, but you're probably going to injure yourself. So if you're coming out of starting from nothing, you literally need to start just stretching. So, you know, just gentle steps from there and then slowly add in some weights. But as I said, I think the most important thing is to have a bit of a structure and routine going, because the main thing about exercise and maintaining your health and fitness is to keep at it, do it regularly and be persistent. And it doesn't have to be hard work. It can be fun. And what I've been suggesting to my clients is, you know, rather than meet up for coffee, why don't you meet up for a walk? Go for a 45-minute walk, because it's so cathartic. You can chat and goss and find out what's going on with who and the schools and the kids. And you're doing something healthy for both of you. Drink lots of water as you're doing it and start to build that into your routine. Or if you're working, take time out at lunchtime with a mate and just go for a walk. There's nothing better than walking.
A friend and I did that last year. I was living somewhere else and we did Trail Talk Tuesdays. So we would meet up and we would walk around what was the park? Springbank Park. Yeah. And we'd invite people to come and join us and we'd talk about nutrition.
Yeah.
And it was great.
Yeah. I think more and more there's a growing trend that, you know, I see people in their active wear 24 hours a day, but probably about 15% of them are actually doing anything.
Well, okay, I have to say, I'm sitting here. If you're watching on YouTube, I actually have some active gear in quotes on today in just to say hi to you, Sally. Although I did stretch today, but I'm wearing it for you.
You got a ball gown down on underneath or something. So funny. But
the other thing I've noticed that, you know, as an entrepreneur, it's so difficult to schedule in time for exercise. You can schedule in time for everything else, It's that exercise portion that keeps getting pushed back and pushed
You
back
have
and
to
pushed
make it
back.
a priority. You have to. And, you know, it might even mean getting up a bit earlier and, you know, your body does adjust, but, you know, there's nothing better than doing a bit of a workout in the morning. Absolutely the best. Get the hormones going, the feel good stuff, get everything flowing. I really highly recommend on a Monday, do some form of a stretch. Gets you going after the weekend, gets the body revved and ready for the week. And it's, you know, you can do it watching the news or do it with the kids or whatever. Get a roller, foam roller. I don't know if you're into those, but they are fantastic. Myofascial release, you're giving yourself a little bit of a massage, rolling out all the tight bits in the body. It's easy to do. You can do it watching the telly, you know, whatever, morning shows, or listen to the radio and just roll everything out. And just, as I said, just stretch all the muscles in your body from your shoulders, your arms, your legs, big back stretches, chest opening up. It's great. It really gets you going for the
It's
week.
a good start to the week.
Yeah. So look, I like to do something every day, but it's nice if you're doing something or getting back into it. Start with 3 days a week and make it a priority. Put it in there somewhere. I find it's harder at nighttime after you've got the whole day going through, especially when you've been with the kids or been working and you've just come in from the shops and made dinner, and the last thing you want to do is turn around and do exercise. I get that. Although as you get into summertime, it's really nice to go for a walk after dinner.
Yeah, it's great for digestion too, like a half an hour after you're eating, great for insulin resistance.
Yeah, perfect. Grab a mate, you know, get the goss and go around the block or something. And it's really quick to do 5Ks. It's not a big deal. And, you know, I'd recommend an hour, probably nothing less for a walk. And
at a good pace, like at a pace that you can have a conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't need to go too fast. You can monitor your heart rates and all that sort of stuff, but your fat burning zone when you're walking isn't as high as you think it needs to be. So walk and talk at the same time and get through a lot of stuff. But getting back to just make it a priority, really make it a priority, because
schedule it in and stick to it.
Your mental clearing as well. It's not just for your fitness, it's for clarity and stress relief and digestion and all that sort of stuff. And very, very
now I've been doing some research, and particularly when you're in perimenopause, a lot depends on rest.
Yes.
So you only recover as much as you can rest. Would you say that was true?
Oh, absolutely. Rest is very, very important. So if you're doing strength training, for example, I highly recommend having at least a day's rest from that muscle group. So if you did, I don't know, chest and tries on a Monday, I wouldn't touch that until at least the Wednesday. You've got to let the muscles recover and regroup. Otherwise, they're just fatiguing and you're not getting the best quality workout and best bang for your buck out of your muscles. So yeah, definitely. And sleep. And, you know, exercise helps with sleep. You know, sleep, as you know, is so super important. And with this frantic world that we live in, we're so buzzed and wired, and that's where exercise helps de-stress you as well. Get that out of your system, get out all that nervous energy. Or, you know, if you're into star signs, and certain star signs really need to really pound it out to help them get in a more balanced place. So yes, sleep through rest. And, you know, looking after the muscles, having an Epsom salt bath with a couple of drops of lavender. Oh, the best. If you've really gone hard or you're coming back into it on your comeback trail, relax in the bath. Oh, it's the best. You'll sleep really well and your muscles will love you for it. Absolutely love you for it.
That's perfect. That's a great recommendation.
Possibly with a glass of wine, you know. Don't have to be a purist here. It's 80-20 rule. If that's going to relax you, if you could put your feet up in the bath with a glass of wine and possibly have a Netflix on your iPad or, you know, a book or something, read a couple of chapters, chill out. Just say, kids, this is mum time, half an hour. Just do it.
And again, schedule it in if you can.
Yeah.
So do you find that results take longer as you get older? So a woman in her 40s, do they need to adjust their expectations of, you know, sculpting that body when they're in their 40s?
Yeah, because we're fighting a lot of factors. We're fighting metabolism, we're fighting the hormones, we're fighting you know, elasticity. We're fighting a lot of stuff. And yeah, absolutely. But getting the inside healthy is really important, you know, getting the heart health and getting the brain health and all that sort of stuff. And yes, everything, it does change, but it does take a little bit longer. And also expectations, I don't know, yes, you can lose 5 kilos and tone up. But my thing with my clients is get them to really look within and get them fit on the inside, get them reconnected with what's important on the inside, and learn to love themselves more. Because, you know, the fact is, like, I'm 50 and I'm not going to have the perfect arms and the perfect legs or whatever, or what is perfect anyway. But I don't want that. I actually want to get up in the morning, look myself in the mirror, give myself a big fat kiss in the mirror and go, hey, baby, you're doing all right, okay? And loving yourself for who you are. Because, you know, once you hit your 40s, 50s, you let a lot of the shit go. So you don't let it worry you. And it's very difficult living in a very superficial world. You know, it's difficult to be not spiritual, but connected and focusing on what's important. Because, yes, it is a world where we're judged on our appearance, so we give it our best shot. But there, as I say to everybody, there's nothing more attractive than a confident woman. And if you're feeling confident about yourself, because if you can tick the boxes and say, yeah, I'm looking after myself, I've got a good diet, I'm doing, you know, lots of exercise or enough to keep me fit and healthy, well, then you're doing a superb job, 10 out of 10. And you should be patting yourself on the back and go, yeah, baby, I'm good. And be loving yourself for it and not expect others to be loving you because based on what you look like. Be confident in yourself. You then become so attractive and people are drawn to you because you look so attractive, because you're glowing. It's like, yeah, you're feeling like Superwoman because actually you are Superwoman. You're doing everything and you're doing it really well. And, you know, it's very difficult. Women in particular are very hard on ourselves, and we really have to take stock and go, hey, baby, I'm doing an awesome job. And on top of looking after everybody else, I'm looking after myself.
That's true.
Women really put themselves second, and I really feel like put yourself first, because once you get your shit together within yourself, you're going to be a lot more productive for other people around you. Particularly your loved ones and workmates and whatever. You're not going to be Mrs. Grouchy Pants so much because you're going to be loving yourself more. Yeah.
So a number of my clients, Sally is kissing the screen. A number of my clients, you know, one of the number one things they want is weight loss, because, you know, we have this insulin sensitivity factor, insulin resistance that is just so prevalent, and, you know, it's something that's missed a lot of the time. So, you know, besides balancing your blood sugar, what do you think of some of the key things to remember, women in their 40s, you know, with exercise and weight loss and wanting to, you know, if they want to look a certain way, you know, we still have that in us, I think, a lot of us. So, you know, how can we maximize that?
Well, there's a beautiful saying, and it says, why blame your body for something your mouth did? And
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we have to work with our bodies, and, you know, carbs are not our friends and sugar's not our friend. And what goes in literally has to be less than what goes out. So yes, we're fighting metabolism and all that sort of stuff, but we really do have to be very careful about what we eat. Our bodies aren't as forgiving as we were in our 20s, and, you know, metabolism is fighting us. And, you know, you can see all the research that diets actually don't work. You actually end up putting on more weight after diets. So it's about maintaining a really healthy way of eating and living. You know, we have to be careful with the alcohol. You know, I'm not saying don't have it, but it is going to layer up. So you have to own your choices. If you want to do that emotional eating late at night and your packet of corn chips or your cheese and biscuits, you're going to wear it. So you have to have realistic understanding and expectations. And yes, it's absolutely possible to lose weight, but we're probably not going to get back to the weight that we want. It's just, we can try really hard and we can kill ourselves, but it's not going to be sustainable. So I highly recommend eating for your weight and working within that. So just really try out different things because I'm very big one for fats and proteins. You know, your hormones need your fats, and you know, it's all been a lot of taboo about don't eat fats. And look, everybody's body is different, but particularly in the 40s and 50s, I've found with my clients that are women, carbs are not that friendly, you know, and our fuel source needs to come from the fats, good fats like avocados, coconut oil, all that sort of stuff, but also limited, not too much. So I was chatting to one client who has the most healthiest diet, and I said, yes, but let's look at the quantity. Let's look at maybe cutting that quarter of an avocado back to an eighth of an avocado, and maybe taking the big handful of nuts down to half a dozen nuts. Like, we really have to tweak it. So we really have to become in tune with our body and understand what works, because I work out with a bodybuilding friend, and she is extremely high on fats and her body just soaks it up, and it's not as sensitive as mine is. So really get to know your body, because if you really want to keep weight off, yes, exercise is important, but the diet is really important too. And as we know, it's about 80% the diet, 20% is exercise, but you need the exercise for the mental, and there's so many reasons why everything comes in together. But I mean, eat well, but also eat in moderation. And, you know, we're speaking with Shauna about everybody's situations, but Shauna says, you know, if you're thyroid or adrenals are out, fasting isn't going to be the way for you, whereas it works for your body, but it won't work for mine. You know, I'm just adrenally fatigued all the time, so I need that constant 2 to 3 hours, keep the metabolism going, keep the blood sugar even, and then eating, you know, along that way, plenty of fiber, all that sort of stuff. Be careful with your fruits and all
because if you don't have an adrenal issue and you don't have a cortisol issue, then snacking is not the way to go. That constant grazing is not the way to go. That's how you put on weight. So you're right. You need to listen to your body and notice what happens. If you know that you're having 3 meals a day and you're having 2 snacks and you're overweight, cut out the snacks. Then see how you go and have that gap between meals. But you're absolutely right. It's listening to what your body is and looking at what your body is showing you too.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see if it starts layering up in the middle, start thinking about what you've been doing. And I really recommend keeping a meal plan for a week or 2 weeks, because then you can get to see your patterns of when you're eating, what you're eating, and how much you're eating. And then start tweaking. You can start playing around with it and noticing any differences that come out. It might be some yogurt that you've removed, or, you know, it might be taking out that snack, or it might be, and as I said, that equation of what goes in needs to be less than what goes out. So if you're expending, say, working out a bit, and you're probably sitting at about 1,500 calories a day. So 1,500 calories, you know, you've got to be careful. Make sure it's nutrient dense when you're working out those calories, because 1,500, you can do it with a Big Mac and a milkshake, and that'd be a day. But that's not going to fuel your body efficiently. So, you know, tee it up with your exercise as well. If you're not very active, you don't need as many calories in. So you really have to work out that equation as well. As we like in particular as well, with the metabolism slowing down and that sort of stuff.
Mm. So do you feel that exercise can slow down or change when we associate with aging? So, you know, sort of what are your favorite types of exercise, you know, strength training, high intensity, low intensity for women in perimenopause? I know we've briefly talked about it before, but this is sort of more of a specific question.
Yeah, well, you definitely need at least one strength training a week. So you've got to build up the muscles, all that sort of stuff. Core work is really, really, really important. I'm queen of core. So working on your stabilizing muscles from your tummy right down to your thighs. I don't know if you've heard of a BOSU. That's one of my best.
I do. Yes, I had one a while ago.
You've worked on all your stabilizing muscles. It's fantastic, because as you get older, your balance is one thing that you really need to work on, particularly my 60, 70-year-old sort of groups. Balance and coordination is really important. Flexibility is one thing that we need to keep up, particularly in menopause. Everything stiffens up. You know, your joints and everything becomes quite tough. So stretching is really important. Stretching and breathing. Strength training once a week. keeping the heart rate, so some form of cardio. And I'm not saying go too fast, I'm not saying go for 6 runs a week, but just something that keeps your heart rate up a little bit. And you can do that with some high intensity training too. If you're doing high intensity training, just be very, very careful of your joints being aware of every movement that you're making and why you're doing it. So I see a lot of the classes and they, 30 seconds, go as hard as you can. People are stuffing up their shoulders and stuffing up their lower backs. I'm all for it if you do it properly and be aware of what you're doing. So if you're in group classes, really be aware of what you're doing yourself, because the instructors can't keep their eyes on everybody, and it can just be one little grab the wrong way and you've done your lower back and then you're out for 6 weeks, and we know what that's like. It's hideous. So yes, I think a little bit of everything. You've got to mix it up for the muscles. You've got to shake them up, because if you're doing the same thing day in, day out, they get complacent and they get bored and you get no change. You need to mix it up to get some change. So I'm all for doing different gym classes, because you've got the social side of it. It's cheap. It motivates you. There's a set time. You can put it in the diary. You can go along, because personal training is awesome, but it can be a bit exy and it can be a bit difficult to get to. But group classes is a really good, cheap way to start off and doing some stuff. Pilates is awesome. Yoga is awesome. Yoga is not for everyone, with the shoulders, the knees, joints again. So, try things out. Swimming is terrific. Acroaerobics is awesome. There's something for everybody. There is no such word as can't, Maggie, and age is no limit. You can always do something. And it's important to do something, because as I said before, if you don't move it, you lose it. Mm-hmm. And then where are we? You're like crippled over. There's a beautiful poster around the corner in the chemist, and there's a woman on a Zimmer frame. And then right next to her, there's a picture of a woman feeling so free in a bathing suit. And they said, these women are exactly the same age. Which one do you want to be? And,
that's pretty powerful.
One looks about 85, one looks about 55. They're exactly the same age, about 60. One looks as though she's just 1 foot out of the grave, and the other one's ready to do a marathon. And it is as simple as that. You either move it or you lose it. And I can't stress that enough. And, particularly as you're coming through perimenopause, getting out and doing stuff, and get that sludge going through the body, because your poor old body's been battered and beaten, and it needs some loving, connecting in with the breath, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth, hand over the heart, and just reconnect back in. Get you back into that chill, calm state. You can't beat it. How awesome is that?
Yeah, and I think that women in perimenopause, sort of around that age anyway, we tend to have, even though we don't think we do, we tend to have a little bit more free time. Although it's like when your children go off to kindergarten, when they've been home the whole time, and you're like, oh my gosh, I've got all this time. And next thing you know, you have no time at all. So you fill that time.
Yeah, exactly.
But we do have that time if we want it, because the children are older. They don't need you as much. You can carve out that time if it's important to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? As the kids get older, as I'm finding, they're needing you more emotionally. And so the more settled and calm and at peace you are, the more productive you are for them. And so taking that time out, honestly, I make it absolutely every day. I have to go for a walk, and I meditate and I connect in, but I also get myself calmer, and I process what needs to be done. I listen to school webinars and stuff. Rather than sitting at home just stuck in the desk, I do it as I'm walking along. So we can be really time productive. Chuck it all in, because of course we all multitask. Being very successful perimenopausal women, we can do anything. So,
That's true. So how would somebody go about hiring the best coach for their age? What sort of questions would they ask, or what would they look for, that kind of thing?
Well, I'm a huge believer in trust your gut. Trust how you feel with someone, because it's like with doctors, with therapists, whatever. Everybody aligns with different people, and people are on different wavelengths. And often you're attracted to, the law of attraction, like attracts like. Mm-hmm. So, for example, if you are a member of a gym and you wanted to and I'm a really big advocate, like take out a gym membership and then do some personal training as well. So I say to a lot of my clients, train with me once a week or twice a week, and then go and do some gym classes to mix it up. Do some Pilates or do some swimming or do some abs or something. And a lot of the gyms have the personal trainers through there. Mm-hmm. Feel comfortable with them. Look at what their experience is. See who the type of people that they've been working with. and really trust your gut on it. Do a little bit of research yourself. So don't go in green and expect them to give you all the answers. Find out what you think you actually need for your body. So if you're starting out, you go, right, I think I need to do 3 times a week walking, then maybe 1 strength training a week, and then maybe 1 other class. And that's 5 things, and that's pretty good, and 2 days of rest. That's really good. So if you're talking to someone, say, I want to do an all-over strength training, or you might actually want to get into some body shaping and do some bodybuilding. I don't know. I mean, look out at what's out there and do some Googling about what form of exercise, because there's so many amazing things. Yoga in the hammocks, that's pretty cool. And
yeah, there's the new one with the bungee jumping and
yeah. Exercise is fun. It doesn't have to be boring, and do it with friends. You know, it's really, really fun because you become accountable then. And then, you know, particularly in winter and you can't be bothered getting up in the mornings, you know, you can text each other and say, come on, lazy ass, get up. I'll meet you there. And then you feel amazing. So having a buddy is also good because you can become accountable and share stuff and have a laugh and go through the journey together. I find most powerful classes I have are small groups, because people, it's like a little sanctuary, if you like, where you're working out together, but also workshopping each other's issues, because everybody's got shit and don't really want to talk about it at work or whatever. But when you're working out, you become a little family, and it's really nice to share. And now we share birthdays and go through births and go through divorces and go through whatever else. And it's really empowering. And at the same time, you're doing something good and healthy for your body and clearing your mind.
Yeah, I love the connection part of that too, because a lot of women, they don't necessarily connect with the women that they used to, or they've become a little bit more selective of the friends that they have. They know if somebody is a true friend and will be there with them through thick and thin, or they know that somebody is just, you know, they just want to please everybody. So having that connection, I think, is really valuable.
Absolutely, because as we become more and more time poor, really, and also our focus shifts. And so often the friends that we had back in our 20s are not going to be the same people that we're with today, because we're all on different journeys, on different train platforms, if you like, and rails, and going in different directions. And so I know in my 40s, I've collected a different group of friends to what I had in my 30s. And they're all gym junkies, but but you know, we're all really strong, capable, connected women, because we're working out and workshopping all of our stuff and letting it out, not hanging on to it. We're workshopping what we're going through, because hey, life's too short to hang on to it. May as well let it up and out. Very clearing, very cleansing. It's awesome.
Yeah, so it's kind of like another support system.
Yeah, the sisterhood. Sisterhood is so powerful, as you know. And having that, you know, fitness and exercise gives you that unique opportunity to connect with people in a private sense. And so you can really spill your guts out and talk about stuff that you're not going to talk about with your husband at home, or don't want to talk about at work, or don't want to talk about with the other mums at school, because it's like, oh, they're going to judge you. But when you're with that small little group and you're doing regular exercise, consistently hanging out with each other, you just have to be going, sharing stuff with your day-to-day stuff, because it might be 3 times a week you're training together, and you know, it's just day-to-day stuff that you're going through. And exercise and when you're connecting in, it brings up a lot of stuff as well, a lot of feelings, a lot of emotions, and you can process them. Very, very healthy to let them out, because who wants to hang on to shit? No thanks.
Nobody. So to summarize, what are your 3 top areas to focus on with clients in perimenopause? What are like your top 3 ones that say, do this, do this, do this, or I would really recommend you do these 3?
Yeah. Well, as I've said a number of times, number 1 would be stretching and breathing and reconnecting back in with yourself and focusing on what's really important, letting the stuff go. Because once you get centered back in and balanced, all the other stuff can fly off, and you're breathing, getting the oxygen in and out of the cells, removing the metabolic waste. Stretching and breathing is number 1. Number 2 is you need to do some strength training. Absolutely do some strength training. Just once a week is enough, but really load up those muscles. You know, we really need to get that going. And number 3 would be work on your core strength. It helps with your posture, your flexibility, reduces backache, but really strengthening the abs, the tummy, you know, the inner thighs, the legs, get the abs going. And who says you can't have a six-pack when you're perimenopausal? Anything is possible. Absolutely anything is possible. You know, everything requires hard work. You don't get anything for nothing, but doesn't mean the hard work has to be with a negative connotation. It can actually be fun. And it's nice to have a little challenge and to put some little, that's the other thing I would recommend, is to give yourself some little goals, some achievable goals. 6 weeks, 3 months, 6 months. You know, don't be too hard on yourself, but just put something out there and something to work towards. It might be as simple as drinking 2 litres of water a day and working towards that. I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there. And then it might be, you know, tweaking your diet as well as just walking a couple of times.
Yeah. I always say, you know, sort of start with one meal at a time.
Yeah.
Don't think, oh my gosh, I've got the whole day and I can't have this and I can't have that. It's like focus on what you can have, starting with one meal at a time.
And reward yourself. Have some sort of a reward. And it might be going to the pictures, or it might be, I don't know, go out for a meal and have a carb. Oh my God. And actually you probably won't enjoy that. So I wouldn't have that as a reward because you feel shit the next day.
Mm-hmm. Now, and all this can also be done at home if you have no gym nearby, because that's what I have. So we have a treadmill and we have, we have a treadmill, we have free weights. But what I do in the summer, obviously we can't do it now, but I would go for an hour long, like I put my headphones on, an hour long walk, listen to a podcast or an audiobook. I cannot wait until spring when I can do that again. I mean, I can do it on the treadmill, but it's not, you don't have the fresh air. You don't have that interaction. It's not the same, but that's what I used to love to do in the summer, is just go for an hour walk in the country with my podcast on.
To me, and you know, hats off to you for enduring your very challenging winter. Like, honestly, for you still to be laughing, because I would be like roasting up the walls. But having said that, there's a lot you can do indoors. Just use your own weight as weight resistance, you know. Stuff and dips, there's heaps you can do. And there's, as I was Skyping with someone the other day, just grab a can out of the cupboard, out of the pantry. You can do things with cans of veggies, you know, like whatever it is.
And stairs, you can do things with stairs, like use what you have.
The stairs, absolutely. It's just finding that motivation, and that's why I find you have someone you can be accountable to, or do it together, because most people I know buy a treadmill and it just becomes gathering clothes at home, or the bicycle, because they go, best intentions, but I'm not going to do it. And that's why I find joining a gym nearby or whatever gets you out of the house, makes you accountable, and makes you do it all the time. So
yes, if I had one close, I would go, but there is not one close.
One day under my wing, and we'll be humping the iron every day.
I used to love going to classes. I have to say, I used to love that. That, I don't know, it was that camaraderie that you know, you all struggle, and you nobody's perfect.
And together, and it's got a bit of music. It gets your mojo going, and it's just you know, pumps you up, baby. And, you know, you have a laugh as you fall off the Bosu, or the football falls out, or whatever.
So you have some really, really good phrases that you've sort of said throughout the podcast. But what is sort of one thing you want to leave the listeners with that will make them go, yes, or make them laugh, or just as a Sally phrase?
Well, I like the one that there's nothing more attractive than a confident woman. And so by getting out, doing something, feeling better about yourself, and then kissing yourself in the mirror and go, high five, I'm doing something for myself. I'm looking and feeling better for it, because it's not about just looking better. It's about thinking better and feeling better. And, you know, by doing the exercise, you tick all those boxes. So, you know, just get out there, do something, because you'll be loving yourself more for it. Absolutely loving it. Move it or lose it, baby. And we don't want to lose it, because we got a lot of our life back. But we want our mojo back. We want to feel hot and sexy for ourselves. And then everyone else will be looking at you thinking, shit, she's a hot and sexy chick.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast, Sally. It's been amazing having you on.
I love chatting with you, and I love that you're activewear, and I love that it's pink.
It's bright pink. If you're on the YouTube, you can see it. If not, it's bright pink. But thank you so much. And we will definitely have you on again if you would come on and we can talk about more. Maybe we can talk more about fitness in the home, you know, for those people who can't get out or don't have that facility or just don't want to spend the money.
Yeah, absolutely. You can do anything for free.
Okay, perfect. Excellent. All right, Kate. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right. Thanks, darling. Bye.
Bye.